Chief Moore, Mr. Teefank, Madam Secretary, Mr. Inspector General Mark Smith, Mr. City Attorney Carlos De La Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect that Commissioners Suthers, Briggs, Calanche, and Garcia are present, and we have a quorum. Mr. President?
Yeah, and just for this, Commissioner Garcia, I'll be stepping out for a little bit, sometime around 10:30, so I'll just excuse myself at that time and then return 45 minutes-ish later.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. We welcome everyone attending this meeting this morning. The Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It is requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the board secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters, assisted listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard during item number 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. The order of speakers will be a speaker in a room will go first, then we will take a speaker watching today's meeting on Zoom. We will alternate between speakers in the room and Zoom for a total of 45 minutes. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you are free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you may participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. 1, submit a speaker card to one of the officers who will then give the card to the board secretary indicating you wish to speak during the meeting. 2, submit written public comment in advance of the meeting to the email address policecommission@lapd.online. 3, if you have logged into Zoom, raise your virtual hand. And 4, you can call into the phone number listed on the agenda and press *9 if you wish to speak on an agenda item. If you wish to just listen to the meeting, you can call into the phone number listed on the agenda that are designated for a call-in and listening. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of the Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentations, and dialogue in real time and provide feedback via public comment period. During these meetings, there is a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only 1 warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. While in the boardroom, members of the public and the audience must be seated. Standing is not permitted. In the past, standing may have been permitted for a few, but moving forward, this courtesy will not be afforded to attendees except for credentialed members of the press. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. Additionally, I will make a note that the board's approved rules do state that signs, posters, banners, or other display materials which disrupt or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of the meeting or which create any obstruction to another person's attendance or ability to view or participate in the meeting are prohibited. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. Before I move to item number 1, I'd just like to take a moment to have a moment of silence for Los Angeles Sheriff's Deputy Ryan Klutkenbrunner, who was killed in the line of duty this past weekend. If you would all just observe that moment. Thank you. At this time, we'll move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police. Chief Moore.
Commissioner President Suthers, Vice President Shields, Commissioner Briggs, and Commissioner Calanche, Commissioner Garcia. Thank you for beginning this meeting with a moment of silence for the ambush murder of Ryan. This department has been following this closely, and my communications with with Sheriff Luna has been to offer any resource and support of them, both in regards to the terrible ambush that occurred in solving that, which I'm grateful to see their quick work and identification of the person they believe responsible for this cowardly act, but also in just extending our hand of support to the men and women of that organization. Also to Ryan, his fiancee, his family. This is a time of unparalleled pain, and we stand with them. And as we move forward, please to the public know that while we suffer this and we see the terrible impact this profession can have in regards to the cost that it requires at times, our hearts are still committed to be in patrol on the streets and to provide for the safety and protection of Angelenos. It's our sworn duty and something that we will carry out. Rather than talk about other community events and so forth, I'm going to leave my remarks on the significance on that issue and move now to the categorical uses of force that we speak about each week. The first is an Osterville shooting that occurred on the 13th of September at about 8:35 at night in the Olympic area. That evening, Olympic Division uniform officers responded to a radio call of a 415 man with a knife. This means a person causing a disturbance with a knife located in the 1200 block of South New Hampshire Avenue. Upon arrival, the officers searched the area and located the individual tentatively identified as Carlos Diana, a male Hispanic, 35 years of age. He was walking through an unoccupied fenced parking lot that was in that same area. As officers were setting up a containment around that parking lot, they recognized that he was carrying a large kitchen knife. They went on to attempt to verbalize and de-escalate the situation, to have him drop that knife and submit to the officers. After several minutes of the commands, the individual, while still armed with his knife in his right hand, ran towards the officers. Officers that were positioned at the entry to that parking lot. The lot was entirely fenced, but for that entry. And despite additional warnings to drop the knife, he refused to comply and continued to run towards the officer, resulting in an Osterville shooting. Mr. Diana was struck by gunfire, fell to the ground, and was taken in custody. Officers requested a rescue ambulance, and he was transported to a nearby hospital where he was later pronounced deceased. A large kitchen knife was recovered from the scene and was booked as evidence. Representatives from the county medical examiner obviously responded and have identified this individual, as well as notification to his next of kin. There was no officers or other community members that were injured during this incident. The Enforcement Investigation Division responded and will be conducting their investigation. Mr. Diana was also positively identified as having committed a robbery just hours before of a street food vendor, where it appears from their investigation is where he obtained that knife from. The second event was an Osterville shooting that occurred in Newton area on the 15th of September. On that date, at approximately just after noon, Newton uniformed officers responded to a radio call of a hot prowl burglary. This is a burglary or breaking and entry into a home that has individuals that are still inside. This occurred at 1100 block of East 33rd Street, which is just very nearby our Newton Street station. This is a 5-story apartment complex. Shortly thereafter, details of the call were updated, indicating that 4 male suspects had entered an apartment, bound and gagged a tenant, placed a blanket over his head, and stole keys to his vehicle. As officers arrived, they took 2 individuals into custody that we believe were part of that group of 4. A third individual, later identified as Jeffrey Askew, a male black, 27 years of age, was observed by the air unit on the roof of the apartment complex. Moments later, Mr. Askew jumped off the building and landed on a roof adjacent, which was a single-story structure. From there, he fell from the roof onto the ground below and as officers approached him to take him to custody and render aid, he reached into his front waistband and removed what officers believed to be a firearm. Mr. Askew then appeared to point that object in the direction of the officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting, as well as the simultaneous deployment of a 40 millimeter less lethal launcher. Mr. Askew was struck by gunfire and taken to custody. Due to the unknown whereabouts of the fourth individuals, officers carried him out of the area, rendered aid, and ultimately brought him to the LA Fire paramedics, who were staged nearby and transported him to a nearby hospital. Today, he is listed in stable condition and is recovering from his injuries. Minutes later, the fourth individual was identified, and as he attempted to escape the perimeter by changing clothes and exiting out the front of the complex. He was subsequently observed by officers and taken into custody without further incident. Again, the object in Mr. Askew's hand at the time of the OAS was determined to be a hammer with an overall length of 6.5 inches. There was a handgun also recovered from the location, and no other officers or committee members were injured during this event. Force Investigation Division, as well as Robbery Homicide Division, responded and are conducting this investigation. All 4 individuals are being booked and processed for residential robbery. The last event was an officer-involved shooting that occurred on the 17th of September involving an animal. On that date at about 4:30 in the afternoon, Newton Division uniform officers responded to a radio call of an assault with a deadly weapon located at 40th Place and Broadway Place. As officers arrived, they exited their vehicle, and a large pit bull ran towards them, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. The animal was struck by gunfire and retreated to a nearby tent. Animal control officers responded and secured the wounded animal. The animal was subsequently transported to a clinic and was euthanized due to his injuries. There was no officers or other members of the community that were injured during this incident. Force Investigations will investigate that incident as well. Year to date, we've now had 25 officer-involved shootings. The number last year was 27. Our 4-year average is just under 23. Our fatal officer-involved shootings are at 13 this year. Last year, that number was 13 as well. And our 4-year average is just over 9. Transitioning over to our crime statistics, our homicide and shooting violence continues to improve week over week. And now we stand at a 25% reduction in the number of homicides in the state of Los Angeles versus the same period last year. That's 75 fewer individuals that have lost their life. And as I reported last week, the vast majority of those, approximately 40 plus, are persons experiencing homelessness. So we're seeing improvements in regards to the rate of crime, particularly violent crime, where fewer and fewer victims are individuals that are experiencing homelessness. Our overall total violent crime reductions, with reductions in all categories, stand at a 7%. And our property crime, though we are seeing a 1.4% increase, and the area there that is our challenge is our personal thefts, which our work will continue. As a brief update, our organized retail theft now it's been in existence for a total of 3 weeks and has made 40 arrests. Involves a collective effort of both our department as well as Glendale, Santa Monica, Pasadena, San Fernando, the Sheriff's Department, and the CHP. Lastly, I'll speak about our personnel numbers. We now stand our sworn deployment at 8,991. That's an increase of 32 officers from a period I reported on last time. The number of our civilian professional staff stand at 2,617. That's a reduction of 13 personnel and leaves us with a civilian professional staff under deployed at just under 300 personnel. That concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to take any comments or questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments from any of the commissioners?
Yes. Commissioner, President Southers, can you ask members in the audience to be silenced while the commissioners are talking?
We're going to have one person speak at a time. Commissioner Briggs, go ahead.
Thank you. Chief Moore, this past week we learned that one of the assistant chiefs, Al Labrada, had been accused of placing an air tag in an individual's personal effects, and that there was an ongoing investigation by 2 law enforcement agencies. One, the agency to which that was reported, the second agency, LAPD. There has been a report that the perception is that Assistant Chief Labrada is being treated differently than others in the past, with allegations that may be analogous to this situation. Can you please address that?
Certainly. This is a personnel matter, and by California state law, I am limited as to how much information I can provide. However, I can report that, as I stated in a press release on Thursday, when this information became public and inquiries were made whether or not such a criminal investigation existed, is I confirmed that, as well as the existence of an administrative investigation by this department. I can assure the public, as well as the rank and file of this organization, that I'm taking these allegations very seriously. As of this morning, Assistant Chief Labrada has been placed on administrative leave and assigned a home. This will continue. We will continue to cooperate with the outside agency as they continue their investigation, as well as conduct our internal investigation. And the facts will take this where the facts will take this. And that means consequences, should these allegations be proven true, will result, as it will with every member of this organization.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, I'd just like to add that, and I want to put on the record that I've also directed the Office of the Inspector General to monitor the department's investigation regarding Assistant Chief Labrada so we can ensure objectivity and impartiality going forward.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments for the chief?
I have a question. Chief, can you talk a little bit about the two homicides that in downtown, the two young ladies? Any information? Black young ladies, which is really disturbing. I don't know if there's any information you can provide the public and us.
Yeah, at this point, I want to respect the investigation, the efforts in determining the circumstances of those deaths, and I will update that, meaning I'll give greater detail in the coming days. Not prepared at this moment to provide a specific statement to it.
Okay, Commissioner Garcia?
No questions.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 2, public comment. Madam Secretary, please let us know who the first speaker is.
The first speaker is the Red Chief Hunt.
And Red Chief Hunt here. That Assistant Chief of Police, that must have been some exciting coochie for him to tag that. I mean, there's no need for the police department to be doing that kind of stuff. Another thing, Mike, we have 350 deaths from fentanyl in the valley that you don't talk about. About 200 deaths in the city of South LA, in the south side, that you don't talk about with fentanyl. What's going on with that? I mean, we're killing the people, or is the vice killing the people? You know, my investigation shows that vice ain't right, and those people are dying in those hotels and stuff like that because they're silently being killed through the department. But 350 fentanyl deaths, you know, I'm really concerned about that. You know, I'm really concerned about your well-being in your life. You know, a lot of people says that you've been here too long, you know, and that you're not doing the right thing, and that's due to the communication that you provide for the people. You know, communication is everything, but a lot of people don't like the style of policing that you do and how you doing it and things like that. So I think you better start listening to the people, because the Constitution say we the people, and that means everybody in here. You know, and you know, you really have to understand that it's a lot more homicides than 27 that's been reported. You know, it's probably about 200 homicides that is not reported being homicides. It's just are being reported as overdoses. So, I'm well aware of that. So I just don't have the correct number right now. But I think it's about 500 overdoses. But half of that is homicides, and we're not doing a very good job in the city of Los Angeles, man. And this is why I'm telling everybody we need those 3,000 counselors for the city and the county of Los Angeles if we're going to do right. I don't know about these police officers, but we do need counselors, health providers, because these people have mental illnesses and they're out there on the street. And a lot of the involvement is coming from vice and insecure people that's running this operation. Fentanyl is a deadly killer, man. I am the Red Chief Hunt, and I am doing a thorough investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next speaker.
Next, we have caller ending 1264. Caller 1264, you're on.
Hello,
Hi, what items
Can
would
you
you
hear
like
me?
to speak on? Yes.
I'd like to speak on the chief's comments and public comment, please.
Okay. 2 minutes.
Yeah, Chief, you mentioned that one of the persons that you were talking about in your comments got a knife from a vendor. That's been one of my concerns for a long time. We have these vendors that have very large knives, and they're right on our sidewalks. They're blocking our sidewalks, and you have other people that are there. I mean, it's just a dangerous situation. It's a recipe for disaster. So we need to really start enforcing those laws. I mean, we're not talking about food carts. We're talking about full-on restaurant operations right on our public right-of-way, right on the sidewalk. And I wanted to make a comment about what the Ref Chief Hunt said about the fentanyl problem. It is a huge problem, and it's almost like there doesn't seem to be any progress with the police department doing anything about the drug dealers that are bringing this in. I mean, a lot of places in the San Fernando Valley shouldn't even be seeing this kind of stuff. I mean, it is obviously a very well organized, and in some cases, I don't even know. I'm starting to question whether some of the police department is even working with these traffickers, because what I'm seeing is just complete openness on this drug issue, and there doesn't seem to be any pushback on it. And that's my comments for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next speaker.
The next speaker is Jonathan Foster.
Hello, Jonathan Foster. I heard a Green Beret yesterday talk about what he did in the military, and this is just breathtaking. There is 2% of gross, but I still think the LAPD does 98% excellent service. I did the OIS stats. I don't know who died, but I do want to go over. There's so many things I want to go over. I can't go there. But in 2022, there was 39 days no OIS. And you go week to week, right? But each month has, listen to this, in 2022, there were 9 days no shootings, 14 days no shooting, 21 days no shooting, 22 days no shooting. 2021, there were 23 days. In May, there was 26 days. There's a lot of days. September, 20 days. In November to December, there were 41 days no OIS. I think that's excellent. I don't know who got shot and killed. The killing part is what I have a problem with when they have a cell phone or a vape gun or a vape pen and things like this. This is what I don't agree with at all. There's this comment, too.
That I am Jewish.
Oh, no, sorry. It had to be maybe it's this one.
Mr. Emhoff, your former partner, who luckily many of us here in Los Angeles have a deep relationship with.
And then there's this comment.
Coincidentally, he happens to be a fraternity brother of mine, as well as Commissioner Briggs.
Yeah, so you guys all know each other, right? and a Klinkenbroomer got shot dead, and it's because you all know each other and you're all stupid. This is why police officers get shot dead, is because you all know each other and you're all stupid. There's many areas, right, along with the gross, excellent service is happening. Okay? And you got residents that are harmed, and some level of justice was achieved for them through the LAPD, right? And no one can take their voice away. You can't take their voice away that the LAPD helped. It can't be erased. So they are helping somebody. I heard with the supervisors, they were talking about the donuts, and then some girl got slammed by a car. And I thought to myself, well, the Proverbs say, don't have your feet be swift to mischief. She got hurt. They kept talking about mentally ill, and then there's a shooting, and they get shot at mentally ill. Well, why didn't they go get help? Why didn't they get help?
Next, we have Andrew Grabner. Oh, what items would you like to speak on?
Before I begin my comments, would someone tell Briggs that he's no longer the commission president and he should stop trying to running the meeting thing? All right, I'll speak on all items. Starting off with the chief's report. The chief is not special. The chief should get the same amount of time as everyone else. Since we all get 3 minutes, the chief should also get 3 minutes. If the chief feels the need to take more time, the chief should then we should all be able to match the chief's time. If the chief takes 10 minutes, we all get 10 minutes to speak. If he takes an hour, we all get an hour to speak. Yeah, sorry about all the noise. You schedule all the meetings at the same time, so I have to come. You schedule your meetings at the same time as city council, so I'm having to call in from city hall. Yeah, so yeah, the chief should get to 3 minutes. And regardless of how much time the chief takes, everyone should get to speak both in person and on the phone. Yeah, so again, hearing from, about all these shootings, and again, another one where the cop shoots dogs for acting like a dog. If a dog feels threatened, the dog's going to go run after you. And, since the cops go into every situation all aggressive and, everything, that's going to frighten the dog. So you might want to explore that because it sounds like you're frightening some dogs here. And usually dogs only attack if they're frightened. And they're very protective. And, if someone's going in really aggressively or something, they're going to shoot them. They're gonna go after that person, and of course the cops are really aggressive, so they just shoot and kill the dog. So yeah, yeah. Let's see quickly the consent agenda. There shouldn't be any grants for the cops. Should be out of mental health altogether. At best case, they don't know what they're doing. At worst case, they're shooting some mental health crisis. You should why are infrared lights $3,200, almost $3,300? The police foundation shouldn't even exist. They're the same kind of institution that's funding Cop City as the one that's funding Cop City in Atlanta to stop Cop City. And yeah, we have. I wonder if the one about Hispanic Heritage Month, America Heritage Month, if that was mentioned that the LAPD shot and killed 14-year-old Ariella Peralta. Yeah.
The next speaker is Gabriel Cabrera.
Minutes, miss?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's my wife. Okay. My name is Gabriel Cabrera, and I'm a former LAPD police officer that served the city for almost 15 years. I spoke here some months ago informing the commission that my termination from the department was illegal. Before I appeared at my police trial, Board of Rights, then LAPD Chief Beck advised my board, jury, in writing, to find me guilty and terminate me before I appeared at my Board of Rights. This was a blatant violation of my constitutional right of due process, which is covered in the U.S. Constitution under the 5th and 14th Amendments. Here, I have written proof in my hand that Chief Beck advised my board to find me guilty and terminate me before I appeared at my police trial Board of Rights. No chief of police, no police officer, and no departmental edict or order is above the U.S. Constitution. Therefore, my subsequent termination is tainted because of this malfeasance. I have been picketing in front of LAPD headquarters for the past 18 months. I am doing this to protest this unlawful termination. I want to be crystal clear. This is not an anti-police demonstration. Without the police, we have no order, no civilization, no cities. Keeping the peace and maintaining order is above everything else. Besides my time serving my country in the military, being a police officer were the most proud days of my life. Here in my hand, I have last Friday's LA Times California section. My story about my struggle in achieving justice is in the LA Times, both in print and on the internet. So now my story is exposed to the whole country and other countries. A few years ago, the Police Commission reinstated another fired LA police officer, Robert William Stewart, 70 years after his death. If you can do it for him, you can do it for me. I'm not dead. I'm almost 60 years old, but I'm not dead. The Police Commission has the power and authority to correct this miscarriage of justice. Please do just that. I will not give up this fight for justice until I achieve it. So help me God. So now my wife and I have to go back out in front and protest this unlawful termination. And once again, I respect the police department. It's the best time of my life. But what happened to me was wrong, and I won't stop until I achieve justice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comment. Madam Secretary,
Next,
speaker.
we have Javier Hermosillo.
Good morning. I'm calling about something that I've seen on television that is quite disturbing. And that is that in the Venice area, Venice district, council member Tracy Parks, there is a neighborhood that is haunted by what appears to be a fellow either with mental problems and or drug substance abuse problems, who is attacking people, walking around naked, a variety of things. And everybody calls the police, and they expect the police to be the solution to that. And I know that the department works with mental health care agencies and others, and I think that the burden is unfairly falling on the officers. Well, LAPD is not doing anything about it. Well, it's not their job to do anything other than, obviously maintain the law and try to, call in help, mental help for people like that. And I think that as a police commission, I would hope that you would, especially the new members, that you would interact with other commissions in the city, members of the commissions who deal with mental health and with services to the community, because that part of the city in Councilmember Parks' district is suffering, and the blame gets put on LAPD because they're just showing up. They're not doing anything else about it. Okay, and so I think that as members of this commission, that you interface politically with other members of the council. We see photos of you at different community events, this is something that I suggest that you take a hard look at, because we're down 1,000 officers. There's not enough to do the job that has to be done, and for them to be repeatedly called over and over and over, multiple times a day, for one individual and drain these resources, I believe it's part of your responsibility as commissioners to help the chief and his patrol operations to bring about a solution through the proper channels. Okay, county's got response teams, department's got response teams. I think something needs to be done. Thank you very much for your time.
The next speaker, Michael Williams.
I'm going to give my time to Sister Bianca because she is a family member of someone who was killed by your officers. So I think you should hear from her.
Hello, I'm Bianca Palmer. I'm a younger sister of Jessica Brown. She was shot by the police in Tarzana. I just want to mention mental health and just being vigilant about it. She did go get help. So she did go and get help. She was on medication and she did the best she could, but she needs support and an advocate. So if you all could just be more vigilant on giving support and not just giving the medication and letting them go home. Maybe phone calls, maybe a check-in every now and then. Just do better, please. I know y'all know already, but this one really hurt, and just be more vigilant. She did ask for help. And what did y'all do? Y'all shot and killed her. I have one question, and if somebody could answer me, do y'all shoot with the gun first, or do you shoot the rubber bullet first? I saw the video, and y'all shot with the gun multiple times first. Go back and look if you didn't see it. Jessica Brown. Justice for Jessica Brown.
Say your name. Jessica Brown. Say your name. Jessica Brown. Say your name. Jessica Brown.
So this is why Chief Moore needs to be fired.
Say that.
Because
Say that.
he's had ample time to fix and correct things that have been broken with this system for years. And constantly, I have to come across people like Bianca who have had their loved ones stolen in the same way that others have had their loved ones stolen. And you all come here every single week and look at us like we're crazy and look at us like we don't know what we're talking about, when this is what we see on a daily basis. You are failing epically at your duty. There should be no concern about retail thefts or anything else until the LAPD is even somewhat, even a minimal amount of competent and not a threat to everybody that lives here. Police shootings are just the top of the iceberg of what you allow in this department and what you continue to let him promote.
Thank you.
Next, we have Paul G.
Okay. So we all live in post-COVID traumatic stress times. I remember Chief Moore when he was area commander at Rampart. I'm in my 80s, going to work every day. I believe, and I think we all believe, that we're all fallible. and nobody intends to take a life, nor does that condone retail theft. We need order. Crime statistics are only as good as incident reports. Unfortunately, after 5 years in not wanting to be a burden on family or society, of purchasing a retail ATM business in support of South Central, the Flower District, and downtown LA, the Fashion District. I can tell you that in pre-COVID, in 100 plus machines that I've built into 150 in LA and Orange County, we've had in 3.5 years, 3 thefts. And in the last 14 months, 7 thefts that have either gone unreported, misreported, undocumented. And so the stats don't show what the ground shows. What we see on the ground is the tourists are not coming. The recent immigrant and family-run little businesses that aren't directly in the alley, but on Santee and Maple, on Olympic, the colorful businesses that in the last 5 years have attracted many tourists are not doing it anymore. They're all closing down. The property owners are suffering. They're not getting rent. Everybody's suffering from real estate inflation. Workers can't, I don't want to go there right now. But what I do want to say is I found this to be much wider than my 7 thefts. I've contacted others, and I've now contacted the National Association, and the National ATM Council, I believe, is willing to retrain in reporting, because the victim is a third party. Somebody places an ATM in a tailor shop, having an officer respond to the tailor shop doesn't get the $4,000 or $5,000 value of the theft. So we're happy to be an agenda item for any part of the police department.
The next speaker is Gina Viola.
Exactly. Buscaino had to drop out. Fuhrer had to drop out. You know why? Because the message was popular. The message was popular. Defund the police. Abolish the police. These were things I said loud and clear every chance I got, and we got 45,000 votes as a response to that. The Loyola study proves it. 74% of Angelenos, even those who live with law enforcement, still want to see funds redirected away from the police and to the community. Your numbers never add up. Never add up. Is it 13 killed, 17 killed? You fudge by 1 or 2 here and there every single week. It's, these are humans. You heard from a human today whose sister was killed by LAPD for having a mental health crisis. We have been standing up here for, some of us for decades, saying absolutely LAPD should never respond to mental health crisis. And yet here we still are. Right as I walk in the lobby, what I'm struck by is your second in command, I think it is, second or third, Labrada, pictured next to Calanche. Once again, I have to ask myself, how is this oversight? We had a 10-year police commissioner who was on record after record saying he stood by police. And this continues today. You are proof of that, Calanche. You're all proof of that. You're all police. Furthering my comments from last week, this political theater you put on every week would be funny if it wasn't so deadly. It is costing way too many people in this community their lives. I don't understand why you don't do something about that, especially newly appointed commissioners. You are a rubber stamp body that is complicit in the anti-black violence that runs rampant in the LAPD. You can't control the racism in this room. How are we supposed to believe you're controlling it out there in our communities? Because you're not. The only thing you're controlling about it is you're keeping it alive and well, because you're all the watchdogs of white supremacy. And it's not the first time you've heard me say that. So police foundations and other wealthy entities continue to provide the LAPD with weapons that nobody wants. You get emails, countless emails from community members telling you we don't want drones in our communities. We don't want killer robots in our communities. Yet you just keep funding these. You find another nefarious way to fund these things. This is outrageous and as much on city council as it is you. This department continues to hold our city hostage by hoarding the majority of its budget. A healthy city, guess what a healthy city is? It's a safe city. But our city will never be that if you continue to take the lion's share of its budget to put it, to absolutely ensure that it can go nowhere else. That's exactly what you do.
Next, we have Steve Rogers.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
First, I'd like to express my condolences and offer prayers for the soul of LASD murdered Deputy Ryan Klinkenbrummer, his family, his friends, and his law enforcement family. From reading reports, it looks like the suspect, whose name I will not mention, murdered him after being maybe put on a mental hold 2 times. Mental illness has been mentioned many times at this meeting, but there has to be a follow-up. A 72-hour hold is not going to do it. So there has to be a real discussion on what people who are potentially dangerous to their families and the community at large, and ultimately to law enforcement, because law enforcement, the officers responding, are put in a position where they have to use deadly force. They are reacting to that person. And whether or not that person is mentally ill, first, you would not know it at the time, most likely, but even so, they have to go home to their families and friends. They have lives that need to be protected also, and they are protecting the public. I encourage everyone to take a look at the memorial walls of officers who have been killed in the line of duty. And unfortunately, LASD Deputy Ryan Klinkenbrummer, remember that name, is going to be added to the wall. Now, let me go on to some other things. The fish stinks from the head, whether it's the LAPD, California State, or the country. Laws that are not enforced are just words on a piece of paper. Let me repeat that. Laws that are not enforced are just words on a piece of paper, whether they're constitutional rights or 403 PC of the Penal Code of the state of California disrupting a public meeting. Please keep that in mind, Police Commission President Suthers. Also, you started at 9:35 today, not 30. I don't mean to be nitpicky, but a lot of things can happen in 5 minutes, like people being shot and killed. Response times. What are the response times for LAPD to emergency situations? Let me tell the public this. Do not rely on the police to protect yourself. I support the police, but they cannot be there to protect you. And when they are there to protect you, make arrests, the arrests are made, and then people go through the system in a revolving door. When you have a revolving door, you have criminals back out. There are no consequences. And when there are no consequences for crime, you get more crime. Is that clear? I hope it is. These things are very fundamental and basic. And for the people, the idiocy, the insanity, and the racism coming from hateful people, stop it, okay? It's not helping the situation. We need the police. They are not murderers. They're not racist murderers. And they are not the descendants of slave catchers. God bless you all and stay safe. God bless the LAPD. Thank you.
The next speaker, Jamie.
All right, so on Thursday night, when I was getting on the metro, there were 5 officers all standing around the fucking scanner doing nothing except talking and hanging out. And one of them moved towards me, got in my way as I was going towards the scanner and was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And when I didn't make eye contact with him or respond to him and just, scanned my card and walked away, all of his buddies like exploded into laughter, like making comments about my body and my appearance, making it clear he'd been trying to hit on me. And that kind of bullshit is always enraging, but what's most enraging is that I was paying his fucking salary, his overtime hours, to stand there and be able to make that comment. I was also paying for the gun he was fucking wearing. And what's even worse is that I couldn't then just move away from this gang of guys because I had to keep my body between them and a black person who was standing on the platform because I knew that they were liable at any time to explode into the violent, erratic fuckery that is the hallmark of Chief Moore's LAPD. Okay? So that's fucked up. And you know what? It's also violent fuckery when any dollar amount is given to the LAPD. It is a violent, catastrophic theft from the community of life-giving resources. It's fucking bullshit. And you know what? What I think that incident I had on the Metro really, flags is that you guys don't fucking protect and serve anyone, even white women, okay? You don't do anything. And it's not just that you don't protect and serve us, it's that Chief Moore actually rules over this city, okay? Like, by your consent, okay? He, it's absolutely unacceptable that he's allowed to, him and his force are allowed to continue murdering people. It is not normal. It is actually mind-boggling, the contempt that all of you have for human life, and specifically for Black life. And it is not possible to respond to it in a calm or a relaxed way, and you bring this weekly outpouring of rage and grief upon yourselves. So how dare you make comments, about decorum in this meeting and telling us when we can speak and when we can't. And it is ridiculous. It is absurd. It is hilarious that it's now routine for you guys to shut down this meeting every week and then scurry back to your rat holes back there because you can't deal with listening to us. It is your job to listen to the citizen's voice, and what we're saying is no more, defund and abolish the police, and until you accomplish that, go fuck yourselves.
Next, we have Betty Lane.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
I'd like to speak on Chief's report, agenda items, and public comment.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, first, my condolences to the LASD officer and their family. I don't understand why a spineless coward has to ambush something like that. I hope he rots in jail. I appreciate Chief Moore's report. I agree with the things that he has reported on. I support the agenda items that are regarding donations and message to Dr. Suthers. On July 23rd, you confirmed to me about October 11th, but via email or phone call, you have not confirmed. I'm holding you to your promise. I know that Commissioner Briggs has always responded, so those are big shoes to fill, Doctor. I hope you can do that. I appreciate all of you. I hope you're all stay safe. And with that, I yield the rest of my time.
The next speaker, please, is Jason Reedy.
All these new products last week, but the one that seems to be in the news the most are AirTags. Does anyone know why? Question: did the department accrue these? How did the department accrue these arsenal of AirTags? Did they come in via the Los Angeles Police Foundation? Did the department use their unaudited $3.2 billion budget to purchase them? Will Al Labrada get a bonus for becoming the face of AirTags? I mean, the streets is calling him AirTag Al. Briggs, you questioned whether it is appropriate to bring young children to these meetings where quote-unquote invective, derogatory language and yelling is used, and wondered about the effects that would have on a child. What are the effects on children in the city who grow to learn that this department hasn't sustained a racial bias complaint in almost 13 years, despite a litany of statistics showing how LAPD targets black and brown people? What are the effects on a child knowing that their family members are most likely to be shot and killed by police in LA more than in any other city in the United States? What message does it send to children that y'all have a stalker displayed on an exhibit in your lobby? Or how your pigs killed 2 dogs within 7 days while you have a dog killer right here in Padilla that decorate your walls? What are the effects of the head of your department covering up 2 white pigs collapsing the lung of a black elder in South Los Angeles? How about Moore saying that I use my child as a tactic, as his department uses children for their photo ops, their programs, and their propaganda, and then go on to kill children like Jesse Romero? Moore chose to dehumanize my baby, essentially equating him to a prop. Sound familiar? Kevin De Leon, the best friend of this department, the same person who you provided a copy of your investigation with evidence and witnesses, gave him a breakdown of what you hope to charge me with, and worked with him as you investigated his assault on me. Media have asked for this report, but you won't provide it. And finally, Errol, you're the president of this commission, and you didn't have shit to say as a sitting police commissioner suggested DCFS come into these meetings with the dream of separating my family. But that's your MO, isn't it, Errol? Harming children. Your legacy was left behind in Santa Monica when the program you founded opened the door to a predator to molest over 200 children. So when I bring my 14-month-old child into this room, you target him, you criminalize him, you harass him for being a baby. But that wouldn't be the case for the children in your life, would it? If Blaze or William McHenry or Jimmy were in here, you wouldn't be telling them or their caretakers to remain seated, would you? Why? Because they're young children. Now, what have we seen under Moore in 2023? 28 shootings, 17 dead at the hands of LAPD, the stalling of providing the public with records from your department as you can't risk being exposed anymore. You have a scandal every week. 1 week it's child rape, the next it's DUI, the next it's domestic violence, the next is sexual harassment, and that's all in between the killings that you have. The delay of...
Thank you for your comment. Madam Secretary, next speaker.
Next, we have Josie, our final Zoom speaker.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All. I just want to apply you, LAPD, for protecting our cities, working with the communities, and helping us all with the crime that happens day and night. I, for one, commend my SLO, who is in touch with all the community every day and talks to us on how to prevent crimes. Not only talks to us, but encourages us to direct them to the right department. And also he helps us to guide us through the whole process. Rather than me complaining of anything that goes wrong in my communities, I am proud to say that I'm part of the cure and not the illness. Thank you.
The next speaker is Liv.
I just want to talk about how terrible the way that you speak about the people that y'all kill is, and how different it is from the way that you talk about the every so often times that one of y'all's cops gets killed, doing what they supposed to doing, whatever it is that they're doing. The way that you mumbled, you just spoke about an officer-involved shooting earlier, and you were like, which resulted in an officer-involved shooting. Y'all can't handle somebody with a knife? What is the de-escalation training for? It's like as if every day, citizens of LA have to live in fear that the conditions of our lives don't cause a psychotic break, because if it does and one of us gets scared by y'all running up on us, we might die because you're not trained to handle that kind of thing. So we have to be scared that we just have to, stay in line. I saw at a gym where y'all's officers were harassing people for just standing in the parking lot. Like, we have to just go, get out of our cars, march in file, go to the gym, go back to our cars. We can't do anything, or else we have to be scared. We're gonna look a little suspicious. When people die, there's a general human understanding among most of us that you speak respectfully or not the fuck at all. You spoke on somebody's worst time. We can all understand that there's two sides to everybody's story. We're all the villain in somebody's story. I'm reminded of that all the time. We all are. You speak respect on a person when they no longer have the ability to respond. We granted y'all a moment of silence earlier. Did you hear the silence that we don't usually grant you? Because we have respect for life. We granted y'all that moment of silence. We have a respect for life and a respect for death. Y'all treat life like it's fleeting, because it is for everybody but y'all. You're so affected because of how rare it is. But we have to deal with this every single day. We lose community members on the streets every single day, all the time, because of y'all. And you speak about the shit that he did a few hours earlier instead of keeping your mouth shut or listening to the family about how loved they were. People are loved, and you take their lives away and then talk shit about them and kick them when they're down and they can no longer respond to y'all. But when one of y'all dies, everybody shut up. God forbid. That's all.
The next speaker, Akili.
To get called this week because y'all didn't call me last week. And let me just tell you now, you need to put that 45-minute shit away now because there's too many people. So don't do that. Let me just, since you've called my name, you already know who I am with Black Lives Matter. There are 4 conditions that we have to face: white supremacy, institutional racism, individual bigotry, and mass denial. The mass denial allows the other 3 to exist. Scandal after scandal has been taking place since Chief Moore has been the chief here. Scandal after scandal. At what point do you say to yourself, that's too much? At what point do you say to yourself, wait a minute, let's do an honest evaluation. Maybe it's time for him to go. We have already surpassed in 9 months the number of people that were killed all of last year. And y'all don't say nothing. It's like, okay, keep moving. At what point does the bombing of a neighborhood suggest that there is incompetence here? At what point, when you shut down and dismantle a division like you did with Mission because you found those police were corrupt, does it say something's wrong at the top? At what point do you say to yourself, this is gone too far, this is too much, we need to take action? That's why we are calling for Police Chief Moore to be fired. Because if the citizens can see that there's corruption, ineptness, and inability, then you ought to be able to see it. And if we see it and you see it and do nothing, then you are using your time and you're wasting your time and our time. So we have come here with a simple demand that should reflect what you already see. Fire Chief Moore. At this point, you've retired already once, so you can go ahead and move on. But what we are here more importantly to talk about is accountability, responsibility, and consequence. And when there's no accountability, when there's no responsibility, and when there's no consequence, that is a recipe for corruption and failure. That is the same reason why we protested Jackie Lacey for 3 years, because she refused to hold police accountable, she refused to be responsible, and there was no consequence for their behavior. The same thing needs to happen here. It is time for Chief Moore to go. Fire Chief Moore!
The next speaker, please, Dr. Melina Abdullah.
So my name is Melina Abdullah. I'm with Black Lives Matter, Los Angeles. I'm also a professor and here with some of my students today. And I'm here with them not because I'm bringing them as a prop. I'm here with them because this is civic engagement. And it should be what students who are taking a class on power in the African American community are experiencing as part of their community engagement work. What they're witnessing, though, is a police commission that doubles down and rubber stamps the police that they're supposed to be providing oversight to. What they see in you, Errol Southers, is someone who is completely dehumanizing to the sister of someone whose life was stolen at the hands of LAPD. What they see is someone who uses every system and institution to take away the power of our people. To say, you know, if you bring your child and teach him that he has the right and the sacred duty to stand up for his own Black life, that he'll be condemned and you'll be threatened with the DCFS action, which evolves from the system of chattel slavery that separated Black families, right? And so we're asking you to do something different. We're asking you to remember, Fabian, you're new. We want you to remember what your charge is. Your charge is not to be friends with him and do ride-alongs with LAPD and think that you're something special and should have some fake badge. Your job is to stand up for community. Your job is to say, if Michael Moore is responsible for the most murderous police department in the entire nation, and he also gives false numbers regularly, right? Like that number 13, we got to remember that there were 4 in custody deaths, including Keenan Anderson, right? 17 killed by LAPD so far this year. So we got to remember, we want you to remember that if he's in charge of that police department, that we always say chop from the top. Michael Moore must go. We also want you to remember that this body is supposed to be one where the people have a voice, where you all as students get to speak out about your own experiences, get to come and say, hey, can you listen to me and let me tell you what my experience is? You shouldn't be surrounded by cops who are here to intimidate you. You shouldn't have to get permission from your professors to be here because this meeting clashes with your school schedule, with work schedules. You shouldn't have to walk into an armed building in order to engage an oversight body. So we're asking you to do something different and to do your job. Fire Chief Moore.
The next speaker, please. The next speaker, please, Hamid Khan.
Just look at these. What are the students here? So this is what you call functionaries of the state. So that's the first lesson in civic engagement, that commissions like this are not representative of us. They represent the state, right? And who's the state? Over here, all of these people. The violence of the state. The violence that they perpetrate every day. And then listen to the language as well. Just listen to the language. So when you walked in, Briggs started off by using the word perception. So there is a perception of that. Don't be fooled by that. What Al Libretta does about stalking his partner is not just an exception, that is the rule. And let me just, so when you get a chance, back in 2017, Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, Black Lives Matter, and Los Angeles Community Action Network published a timeline of LAPD's domestic violence, sexual, and child abuse. Let me just say that, child abuse. And where 16-year-old young women, 14-year-old young women were systematically and methodically sexually assaulted and raped as they were police cadets at the LAPD. And you got to listen to what the responses are. And people talk about, you may have heard about Daryl Gates. He was the chief back in the 70s. But look at Daryl Gates back in the 70s described the sexual relationship between 6 officers and 16 teenagers cadets as no rape, no seduction. There was a lot of agreement. In 2017, Chief Beck just continues the pattern with remarks that accusation of rape between Officer Robert Kane and a 15-year-old youth cadet appear to have been all consensual. Right? All consensual. In that there was no force, fear, or intimidation. And I can go on and on and on. But I'm so glad that Melina brought the class over here because they have to see firsthand. It's not sensationalism because the media is also a functionary of the state. The media will immediately, because, that guy was shot and killed, but when you listen to the reports that how he was just engaged, how like he's a 3rd generation LA Sheriff's Department officer, compared to Keenan Anderson's family, compared to anybody else, that before the person is humanized, they're a gang member. So the humanity is immediately stripped of the other. And that's what happens. So that's why when we come here and we talk about these things, it is to expose them, it is to disrupt them, and it is to abolish them because that's the only way out. Otherwise, we'll keep on doing that, but we're not going to stop doing that.
The next speaker, please, Lord Salam Flores.
For the record correction, I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and last, and everything that was created. So you heard the people. Now I call a holy command against you this day as the judge and creator, Jesus Christ alive. You people hid me as a conspiracy, but God meant it for me to keep the delay of the judgment. So let me read a scripture to you. What I came to talk about was the Exodus reset. It means take down, take over. I'm for the people, and I'm Almighty God, stopwatch. So today, all of you are fired. All are fired. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. I heard enough people dying and people getting killed, holding knives. How dare you? What is going on through your mind? You don't care what the people have to say? Well, then you need to be out in the street to feel what they feel. Would you like to feel what they feel? I guess you wouldn't, right? Okay, so today's your last day in this job. Chief Moore, I don't even know you, but you disgust me. Okay, I am the judge, and I'm sending a holy command. If you don't listen to my command and obey, I will send the death angel against all of you, or you could take 1,000 years in prison and $300,000 fine along with it if you do not step down. But let me tell you, when you do step down, I'm putting my people in place of you who will correct this problem in this city. Do I make myself clear? Today is your last day at work. You are out of order, and I'm commanding you by the blood of Jesus Christ who lives as the great redemption, the Alpha and the Omega. And you need to listen what the Word of God has to say today to you. Got 51 seconds, okay. Matthew 24:14, and the gospel of this kingdom shall be preached to all the world and for the witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. We are at the end. I can call the end to prophecy. I could call the end to the end of the world if I want to, when I want to, how I want to, and why I want to. Because I'm the #1 whistleblower against all the corruption of all the fraudulent government that took and stole my birthright and the people's birthright. How dare you? You don't even run shit in this fucking city. Because I'm a gangster from East LA, and I got the homies, I got everybody against you. You want a war? You'll get a war. Everybody's gonna start killing the police officers if you don't bow down or die.
The next speaker, please, Audrey George.
So, look at Chief Moore and the record of the occurrences since he took office. All of the killings, increasing, like people gone mad. The cops don't know how to stop shooting. Every single person they shoot is a suspect, a human being loved by many people, and a suspect, an unconvicted person, shot dead and never able to defend themselves. All of the scandals, so many, the hush-hush email, and all of the scandals, the stalking, the stealing. Do you know why we are hearing about these things, why they're occurring? They're occurring because Chief Moore oversees a department where the culture says it's okay to do those things. It's okay to threaten a whole community of unhoused people with criminalization. It's okay to stalk other cops. It's okay to sell guns that are unauthorized. It's okay. All the things you want to do is, under Chief Moore, okay. And these are cops that are earning like $200,000 probably medium. And they're paid whether they're just standing around. In fact, they get extra bonuses for this work. Or standing around encampments watching horrible things happen to the unhoused people. They get paid that salary and overtime. I also still have to raise the issue of Briggs. And this is the police department he is so proud to have represented as president of this sham commission, this joke of a commission, this lack of oversight, total lack of oversight. He was proud and said so when a family of someone that the LAPD had shot and killed was sitting in here, how proud he was of his department. That shame. One thing I need to talk about is the sham of your whole trainings of de-escalation for the cops so that they don't kill so many people, so many suspects. Do you realize that in recruiting military people, are military people trained to de-escalate? No. How are you going to train people who have been trained to escalate and to fight and to use lethal weapons? How are you going to train them to de-escalate ever? One final thing I wanted to talk about the consent items again. They are not uncontroversial. You are adding to the LAPD budget unofficially, and it's wrong.
The next speaker, Alex Horner.
Good morning. My name is Alex Horner. The list of reasons to fire Chief Moore is, excuse me, let me start over, I'm a little nervous. The list of reasons to fire Chief Moore is long, and I'll keep it to my top two. 17 people murdered by LAPD this year, including 3 in the first week of the year alone. When Chief Moore was campaigning to be reappointed by Mayor Bass, he said that he supports alternative responses, but that they are underfunded. Yet he doesn't go to City Council seeking funding for those alternative responses, which would reduce our dependence on LAPD and strengthen safety in the community. He seeks to increase his own funding. He says one thing and does another. Secondly, people are murdered because LAPD does not know how to de-escalate. Valentina Peralta, at 16 years old, was murdered in front of her mother, trying on quinceañera dresses because LAPD officers don't know how to de-escalate. 3 people died in the first week of this year because officers don't de-escalate. Chief Moore's failed leadership means that LAPD's relationship with the community is worse than 6 years ago when I first started coming to these meetings. The community leaders who are here today may be the reason I first came into this room, but what radicalized me was seeing how this department operates. Chief Moore is not the leader we need in Los Angeles, and he must be fired. Thank you.
And the
Madam
final,
Secretary, please announce the final speaker.
the final speaker is Reverend Dr. James M. Thomas.
So now I want to begin by saying, you know what I'm going to say, Chief Moore. Dr. Southers, we were both in the same program at USC. As a matter of fact, the things that I'm hearing are very difficult for me to believe. They're very difficult because I reached out to you when one of my students was being detained at the border, and you gave me advice and he was freed. He was illegally being detained. And so I can respect that. And so I thought that maybe this commission doesn't know the history of this commission. And then when I walked in, I noticed that this hearing room is named after John Mack. John Mack sat in your seat. After the city erupted, he sat in your seat, and he was a leader. I was introduced to this commission through John Mack. I knew John Mack. What has happened in this commission is disgraceful. He is flipping in his grave because of the work that he and other community members put in to try to make Los Angeles a sensible place for Black people to want to live. And I want to deal with you specifically, Chief Moore, and I hope I have enough time because I'm a preacher. Sometimes I take too much. I just got 2 questions. And Commission, I want you to ask this question. Did the mayor say that she was for robotic dogs? She told us in a meeting that she was absolutely not, and that she was going to do whatever she could to make sure they did not happen. You told me in a meeting that that was not true. And I said to you, either she is lying or you are lying. But the issue is this, Chief. That's not the first time. I find it incredibly interesting that this commission continues to support you when you sat in a meeting in the San Fernando Valley and you said, I think it was Shepherd of the Hills Church, and you virtually fired all of them because you said that they did not have the capacity to judge policing behavior because they're not police. That's what you said. And I wrote a letter about it, and I gave it to you in this commission. And so my problem is this. I don't have an angst against you, but I believe that you are similar to what we had in Daryl Gates in the ways in which he was able to flip based upon the community he was meeting with. And so what I'm saying to you, I don't know what kind of man you are personally. I know you don't know anything about Black people, and you got upset with me when I said that you did. But the point is this, Dr. Southers, we both know about policy. We both know about policy. I don't just stand here as a preacher. I stand here as someone who sat in the same seat that you did at USC. And you know that this does not make any sense. And what I would suggest, have a meeting with the people. Have a sit down. If you are concerned about what is happening in this city, I'm talking to all of you commissioners. Sit down. We're not crazy. We're not crazy. We're just tired. We're just tired. We're tired of having to deal with what our ancestors dealt with, what our parents dealt with. And now we see Black leadership, which is a revolving door. It's a revolving door. Have you ever asked yourself, how can a man like John Mack have been the first president after Rodney King? And we haven't been able to keep Black folk. It's musical chairs. It's because something is wrong and it needs to be fixed. And Chief Moore, this is your boss, whether you like it or not. And they were put in place because they are civilians. They're not supposed to be police officers. They're not supposed to have an expertise in policing. But I know that Dr. Suthers has an expertise in policy. And what I'm expecting, what I am expecting is for you to use it. It is time. It is time. Do what is right for you, what is right for your family, and what is like for Los Angeles. And step down. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. We'll now move on to agenda item number 3, consent agenda items. We'll go to agenda item A, B, and C. Are there any comments or questions on those agenda items? Commissioners?
No questions.
Commissioner Calanche? Commissioner Garcia? Okay, having said that, I'd like to move that we approve the department's report, transmit to the mayor and city council agenda items A, B, and C. Is there a second?
Second.
The agenda items have been moved and seconded. Is there, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thus saith the Lord, I gave you your order. Start moving your stuff out of offices, out today, because the government starts today.
We'll now move on to item number 4, regular agenda items. Item A will be a department presentation by LALE, the Latin American Law Enforcement Association, in recognition of National Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'd like to call up Commander Hurtado, Captain Robles. They're here.
These are all Alabradas, aren't they? Aren't they? Aren't you Hurtado? They literally were retweeting Alabrada after the scandal came out. Weren't you guys? Until he deleted those tweets. Baby, where are you going?
Commander?
Ready? Good morning. My name is Commander Hurtado, Hispanic Community Liaison for the City of Los Angeles Police Department. I wanted to thank the President Police Commission, President Suthers, the Honorable Board of Police Commissioners.
Commander, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask those in the audience to at least respect this organization who's trying to do a presentation. The Board of Police Commissioners cannot conduct an orderly meeting because people are disrupting this presentation. This creates an actual disruption. If this doesn't stop immediately, I will order the room cleared pursuant to California Government Code, Section 54957.9. I'm asking you to cease and desist.
I don't play. It's time to go.
Because the disruptions have not stopped and the board is unable to conduct an orderly meeting, I am ordering the room cleared pursuant to California Code 54957.9. Sergeant at Arms, please clear the room. Okay, we'll resume with agenda item 4, regular agenda items. Item A, which will be a presentation by the Latin American Law Enforcement Association, LALE, in recognition of National Hispanic Heritage Month. Commander, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Commander Hurtado, the Hispanic Community Liaison for the Los Angeles Police Department. I want to thank the President of the Police Commission, President Suthers, the Honorable Board of Police Commissioners, our Chief, Inspector General, for all the support to all of Los Angeles Police Department police professionals. Today, I'd like to discuss 2 aspects from the lens of Hispanic police officers in LAPD. We want to demonstrate our department's progressive nature and how we as Hispanic police officers serve our diverse communities within the city. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce a future leader in our department. She's also the first woman president of La Ley, Lieutenant Selena Robles.
Thank you, Commander. Good morning, Board of Police Commissioners, Mr. T. Fank, Chief Moore, Inspector General, Mr. Carlos de la Guerra, and members of the public. My name is Selena Robles. I am a lieutenant with the Los Angeles Police Department and the president of La Ley. Prior to moving forward, I would like to have our Board of Directors present introduce themselves.
Hello, good morning. Lieutenant Zadi Borges, Central Area Commanding, Detective Commanding Officer, La Ley Secretary.
Good morning. I'm Detective Sophie Toledo, and I'm Chief Moore's aide, and I am the treasurer for La Ley.
I'm Sergeant Gonzalez. I'm a sergeant for Foothill Patrol.
Thank you. To provide a bit of background, La Ley is a department employee organization founded in 1967 by a group of police officers who were inspired to promote the advancement of Hispanic and other underrepresented groups within the department. From its inception, La Ley has committed itself to mentoring, encouraging service and advocacy within its members, and building community relationships. Currently, our board of directors consists of 11 board directors, and for the first time in our history, we have a civilian board director, Frecia Ramirez. La Ley understands the integral role that civilians, our professional staff, play in our department, and by working together, we can accomplish more and advocate for all. One of La Ley's founding principles is the advancement of professional development. La Ley has worked tirelessly to establish a mentorship program and provide higher education, training incentives to help prepare the next generation of leaders. Over 3,500 personnel have attended our seminars, which have been held in person and virtually and open to all department employees. We have focused on written, essay exam, and interview preparation for a variety of ranks, including Police Officer 3, Detective, Sergeant, Lieutenant, Captain, Commander, and we're also very proud to have organized civilian professional seminars. In fact, on August 29th, La Ley hosted a P3 training officer interview seminar with 100 attendees, and we were honored to have Vice President Commissioner Shields attend and provide encouraging remarks to members of our department. Later this evening, La Ley is hosting a lieutenant promotional seminar where we are proud to have 255 RSVPs, and we are honored to have President Dr. Southers share his leadership remarks to encourage our personnel to continue their career advancement. Lastly, earlier this year, La Ley partnered with all department affinity groups and the department's women's coordinator and hosted a monthly series to prepare employees for the captain examination. La Ley's membership includes over 770 department employees, comprised of a variety of ethnicities, include both sworn and civilian personnel. Part of La Ley's commitment to higher education includes its scholarship program open to our members and their children who are pursuing a higher education. La Ley has awarded over $50,000 in training and scholarships. We continuously advocate professional growth and advancement and prepare our members and all department personnel for better outcomes and opportunities. Currently, Hispanic personnel make up over 54% of our sworn workforce. Our demographics certainly reflect the diverse communities that we protect and serve. Under the leadership of Chief Michael Moore, we have seen Hispanic representation in our department increase and our personnel promote to the highest levels of all ranks. La Ley supports and encourages equitable representation of all ethnicities and genders across all police ranks. We stand together with the department in the 30 by 30 initiative and are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. La Ley, in collaboration with the Los Angeles Police Department, is committing to strengthening communication between law enforcement and the communities we protect and serve. Our strength lies in acknowledging and respecting our differences. We will continue to pursue innovative ways to meet the evolution of policing and to instill confidence with our communities. I wanted to take this moment, an opportunity to share a few of our community engagement efforts. On July 19, 2023, La Ley organized a public safety committee event with Rampart area and our department liaison, Latino community liaison officer. Our purpose was to empower our community with knowledge and information and to strengthen community trust. On June 1st, 2023, La Ley supported CSPB's Chieftain Greatest team and presented at Locke High School for the first Spanish public safety presentation on the fentanyl with over 100 students in attendance. The lead speaker was Mr. Jaime Porta, president of VOID, Victims of Illicit Drugs, which was formed to bring to the public's attention through education, awareness, and legislative advocacy the dangers and consequences associated with the use of illicit drugs, in particular fentanyl. On May 18th, LA co-hosted an event with East Los Angeles Community College Administration of Justice Club with key speaker, Superior Court, the Honorable Judge Lucy Armendariz, who focused on her inspiring message that regardless of challenges, with dedication and perseverance, we can overcome anything. This event also served as a recruitment effort to encourage criminal justice students to join our police department and pursue internship or job opportunities with Forensic Science Division and Technical Investigation Division as well. On May 7th, Lale attended the annual Hollywood Pals Car Show fundraiser to raise awareness for the department's community programs. On August 24th, 2023, the LAPD, in partnership with Transit Services Bureau, hosted the first Indigenous Community Academy, where 51 candidates graduated. Lale was honored to have attended and sponsored the incredible event for our community. And also on March 18th, Lale took part in the annual Cesar Chavez Appreciation event. Erica?
With LA as well, what we try to do is to advocate for officer wellness. We've taken that approach because, I mean, with all the trauma that we see with victims and all the incidents, it does kind of affect us in some way or form. Speaking from the patrol perspective, every day we see, poor victims, and officers respond to all those calls. So Lale has helped and collaborated with BSS. We had a virtual wellness seminar, and we allow any person from the department to attend, and we don't just do Lale members. So we're inclusive in that manner. We also supported our peer support program for LAPD, and as the picture above, Foothill Division Wellness Day, we helped them as well. And we also have a benefit for Lale members, which is a Safe Ride program, which is a reimbursement program to mitigate DUIs in the department because, again, with that trauma exposure, that tends to be kind of a derivative of it.
Thank you. We are honored to share that in collaboration with other affinity groups, Lale is spearheading the design and completion of the LAPD Women's History Mural and bust of our first Latina policewoman, Josephine Serrano Collier, who joined the LAPD on October 1st, 1946. We're also working closely with the department's women's coordinator, DEA officer, Commander Flores, and the city's Cultural Affairs Office to make this a realization. The mural has been conceptualized to depict the department's trailblazers in women's history with the portraits of Alice Stebbin Wells, the first policewoman in 1909, Georgia Ann Robinson, the department's first African-American policewoman appointed in 1916, Josephine Serrano Collier, the first Hispanic Latina policewoman appointed in 1946, and Joyce Cano, the department's first Asian American Pacific Islander policewoman appointed in 1967. Sergeant Flanchen Blake is included in honor of her legal efforts to maintain and advance women within the Los Angeles Police Department. Officer Tina Cabrat is the first female LAPD officer killed in the line of duty and is added in honor of the ultimate sacrifice she and other women made to the city of Los Angeles with her life in 1991. The anticipated completion date for both projects is estimated to be in 2024. This slide is just to showcase our recent promotional seminars and forums and community events that we open to all members of our police department. Excuse me. On September 14, LA, in partnership with the department, invited community members for the commencement of Hispanic Heritage Month. Mayor Karen Bass and Board of Police Commissioner President Dr. Suthers and Chief Moore shared remarks in celebration of our history and culture. We also had food entertainment, which included mariachi and folklorico. At this time, I'd like to turn over the presentation to Commander Hurtado.
The LAPD has recognized that immigrants and Latino community has been disproportionately the targets of victims of crimes. Victims and witnesses are concerned that they will be questioned about their immigration status or arrested or turned over to immigrations. As a Latino community liaison, part of my duties is to ensure that Latinos in Los Angeles understand that LAPD needs their help to achieve a higher degree of cooperation between the police and the public. Since 1979, LAPD has instituted a special order which directs police officers not to enforce immigration laws and not to inquire into the immigration status of any persons living in the city of Los Angeles. Quarterly, we do have these Spanish forums in Spanish that Selena spoke about, and we want to have one per bureau and then one Spanish academy per division a year. The last forum she spoke about was in Rampart, and it was a great success. And these forums are to attract people, but mostly is to educate them and to give information on legitimizing police and reducing the fear of police within these communities. A lot of people in Los Angeles come from countries in Central and South America where they do fear police. We want to minimize that by education, the teaching of teaching parents about drugs that we have here. At our last forum, we also had communications division was a part, and they actually walked through the 911 process. What happens when you call 911 and what to expect. This was all education driven. In Hollenbeck, we also had a think tank group that was facilitated by our SLOs in Hollenbeck. It was a community interaction to solve problems within the communities, to study the underlying social factors which hurt our communities. And the participation, we had churches, youth groups, we had the council district, businesses, and schools. And we had to come up with their own solutions that did not include law enforcement. These are increased area or community-led watch groups to promote safety and security using the collective intelligence and the totalitarian perspective of community empowerment. We also target and look for youth groups such as Sunburst. We have a GRID, and we also welcome them back into our communities. We had last year, we had a group come from Sunburst, and they helped clean up the parks in Hollenbeck. And in that, which it's more of a crime prevention also. When they took breaks, we talked about crime prevention with the kids, not only just to have them work around the parks and feel part of the community, but to teach. I want each division to have a Spanish academy geared to education on victimization, crime prevention, and the city's department's self-help resources and how communities can protect Los Angeles from within. More teaching on how to solve problems as a community, less jails, and focus on the root cause of crime and victimization, utilizing police only as a framework. Teaching, when we do teach these forums, I teach a PowerPoint on the importance of crime reporting and the process and what to expect when they call 911. This is all done in Spanish. The option of remaining anonymous, reporting, and how to obtain crime reports and using our core system in Spanish. We actually have a PowerPoint that teaches our entire core system in Spanish. It also goes through the entire process of where the report goes, from the supervisors to how they're going to get a call from the detectives, the DACA, and court, and we walk them through the process to minimize the fear of police. We also work with the indigenous group called Cielo, which is Indigenous Community and Leadership. This is a woman-led social justice group and cultural preservation for migrant groups living in Los Angeles. They also provide education and assistance and translation of 7 different indigenous languages that are present here in Los Angeles from North America, Central America, and South America. Police officers are given these cards from Cielo, which contains a phone number, and there's 7 different languages from the Latin communities that are considered indigenous but are present here in Los Angeles. So we work with that group. And then we also have worked with different cities in Mexico. Earlier this year, we had Guadalajara that came to Los Angeles. They wanted to learn more about our Senior Lead program and how Los Angeles works with their community and the police. We taught them a little bit about our Senior Lead program, our CSPB program, and they actually want to come back and replicate that in Mexico. We also met recently with the mayor of Tijuana and the chief of police, and we shared information on crime reduction programs. This meeting also showcases, they showcased their advancements and that's how we strengthen our partnerships for extradition. This meeting was attended by their leadership, but also our federal partners working with the California Department of Justice, the U.S. Marshals, and the ATF. Tijuana showed us how they are using modern technology. Since their population is 3.5 million, they have 2,400 officers. LAPD, we just talked a little bit. We graduated our first indigenous community, where 51 Angelenos graduated, and this is again geared towards transparency, crime reduction, and education on prevention. What's wonderful about these groups is that a lot of them go back to their own communities and they spread what they learn. They hold their own meetings and they actually reteach what we have taught them on crime prevention and education. We hold lieutenant and sergeant seminars to further any employee in the Los Angeles Police Departments that wants to enhance their careers. Not only do we want to hire equitably, we want to welcome and help any advance or any police professional and promotion and leadership positions. We want to increase the 30-30 diversity, equity, and inclusion in our workforce and enhance a career success path for all police professionals, and to cultivate the leadership that can create an organization that is built to last. A part of our lessons of our past is coupled with the ambitions of our future success, and we want to encourage our youth. We provide education and legitimizing police, and these are events that focus on transparency. When we meet with these groups, foster community interactions, and improve public safety. Also, part of the intent is to educate both police professionals and our community on alternatives to incarceration, and promote programs like GRID, like LA Legacy, like Sunburst, and the diversion programs, and the utilization of restorative, enhanced diversion groups like the ones we've spoken about. We also have encouraged, working OCB, we encourage a lot of our police officers to attend religious events, churches on Sundays, and become a familiar face in their communities, not only patrolling, but also in the church events, and just normalize seeing police officers at these religious events. And again, I wanted to emphasize that our population, 54% of our population is Hispanic, so we have a lot of these meetings are mostly in Spanish so we can reach more people. But in conclusion, I wanted to thank you for allowing us to showcase how Hispanic police officers work in our diverse communities in the city. We're also here to serve the city with honor, to show the city that we are an asset, that we have a second belonging, and we want to be the future contributors to the progress of the city.
Lastly, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, LALE, the department personnel, and the LAPD Museum dedicated countless hours of research to preserve our history and identify the many contributions and milestones of Hispanics in the department. A display of our research efforts can currently be found at the LAPD headquarters lobby. I encourage all of you to take a moment to visit our exhibit. I would like to conclude by showing our Hispanic Heritage video, produced by Media Relations Division under the leadership of Captain Muniz. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander, and thank all of you for this incredible presentation today. It just reinforces what I've been saying all along, is that members of this department should understand the heritage of everyone in this department, particularly here, and if we can, in the LA Police Museum, and more importantly, the history that their respective groups play in this city. I want to congratulate you on the 51 people who completed the Indigenous Community Academy. It was an honor and a privilege to join the mayor and the chief at the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration last week. And then a couple days later at El Grito, where I got to see some of you out of uniform and a little bit more relaxed, I think. But I'm really impressed by your national outreach as an organization, your international outreach as an organization. It's very encouraging. You're reaching out to the community to educate and make them more aware of the things they can do to help themselves as they also help you. And last but not least, I'm honored to be with you this evening for the promotional opportunity that you're putting on for people to prepare themselves. Education, again, is so critical, and mentoring each other is so critical. You are having an impact. I was able to attend a recent cadet graduation along with Chief Moore and Executive Director T-Fank, and there were 184 cadets and 181 were Hispanic. So you definitely are reaching out, and the message is being heard. So thank you for everything you do. With that, I'll just yield my time to my fellow commissioners for any comments they may have.
Commissioner, Commissioner, I could draw your attention to a video. One of the most culturally diverse cities in the United States. During National Hispanic Heritage Month, we pay tribute to the generations of Hispanic and Latino residents, civic leaders, and immigrants who continue to enrich America's history and are instrumental in its future success.
It's a little bit hard to keep my concentration because I'm looking out the aft windows at some great views.
I'm Lieutenant Castillo.
Is hit back to the box, dribbling to second. Samuel on the bag, throws to first, double play.
The Los Angeles Police Department's relationship with the Hispanic community is of critical importance and will continue to strive to enhance community confidence and public trust. This year, we're proud to announce the Los Angeles Police Department hosted its first ever Indigenous Community Police Academy. This program provided community members with an inside look at our department's operations and policies. The department worked together with various community organizations to present curriculum in various indigenous languages from Mexico, Central, and South America, and spoken in our diverse communities. Critical in building trust is ensuring that our department mirrors our diverse Hispanic communities. Over the years, we've seen Hispanic membership in our department grow, and individuals ascend to the highest levels of our ranks. While I'm very proud of the work that has been done so far, I recognize there is still much more to be done. The Los Angeles Police Department is committed to continue to build our Hispanic representation at all ranks and pay grades. You have my commitment that we'll continue our targeted outreach and recruitment efforts within the Hispanic community for the next generation of police officers.
On behalf of the Latin American Law Enforcement Association, we honor the many contributions made by Hispanics and Latinos throughout the history of our department and the city of Los Angeles. We remain committed to enhancing public safety through strong community relationships in every neighborhood across the city.
Hispanic heritage is important because it gives you a sense of self to know where your family has come from and where you've come from, and having something to celebrate or just learn about. It feels good to know what your family's gone through to get you to this point in your life, and where we'll continue going and where my kids will go.
I'm a product of my family who immigrated from Quito, Ecuador, to have a blessing living here in this country. My mom and my father came here to the United States when I was 5 years old, and I was raised here. Like, we came from poverty. There's no way in the world that I would see the blessings and the opportunities that I see in this country. I have a lot of pride. I've always wanted to be a police officer since I was a kid. I grew up in Koreatown, in the city of Los Angeles. To Rampart Division at that point. And that's when I first encountered a police officer. And to be a Hispanic person and allowing to see another kid with the same skin color, see me in uniform and say, "Mom, I want to be like that person."
I'm first generation Hispanic in Los Angeles. One of my fondest memories as a child, I remember walking to Mercadito with my mom and my dad on Sundays. Los Angeles is always and has always been a home to Latinos. But at the time, you didn't see too many Hispanic police officers. My parents used to use that as motivation to remind me and my brothers, my sisters, that we have to work hard and not to be a burden on this country.
I was 10 years old. My family moved to New Orleans. I had to learn English. I went to school there. And eventually, when I was about 19 years old, my family relocated to Los Angeles. After having all my other family members join one branch or another of the service, I wanted to do the same thing. But coming from a traditional Latina family, my mom said, "No, that's for the boys." So eventually, I think we reached a happy medium where I would not be deployed abroad, but I could still wear a uniform and protect and serve here in the city of Los Angeles.
I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a mentor, I'm a friend. I am LAPD.
I am a mother, I am a daughter, a sister, I am a wife, I am a dog mom, I am LAPD.
I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a veteran, I'm a cancer survivor. I am LAPD.
I am a daughter, I am a mother, I am a friend, I am a mentor, I am an immigrant, I am a trailblazer. Yo soy LAPD.
I am a daughter, I am a sister, I love the Dodgers, I love spending time with my family. Yo soy LAPD.
I'm a mother, I am a sister, I'm an aunt, I'm a niece, I'm your neighbor, and I am LAPD.
The department recognizes the outstanding work, innovation, and accomplishments members of the Hispanic community have made in Los Angeles and our nation. On behalf of every member of this department, thank you. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.
Commissioners?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Commander Hurtado and Captain Robles. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And everyone, this was a wonderful presentation, and it's simply underscores the contributions that not only have each one of you made to the department, but that the Latin culture has brought to not only Los Angeles and Los Angeles County, but our country as a whole. And keep it up. You've got a long way to go, but no one's going to stop you. In fact, we're going to assist you. So anything you need, just reach out. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on a great video, great presentation, and Hispanic Heritage Month, or I call it Latino Heritage Month. We don't use Hispanic, but that's, yeah. Anyways, but thank you so much for all the work that LA has done. When I started on the commission, LA was kind of getting a new resurgence, and I've seen how hard you all have worked to put on when we were all on just Zoom, we were doing the Zoom meetings and really advocating for the Latino employees, Latino police officers. That was a big part of your work that it's paying off. It's reaping, the rewards of all the work that you put into not just, say you want more Latinos promoted, but really work to prepare them, right? That you're putting in the sweat equity to ensure that our officers that want to promote are prepared for those examinations, for those interviews, and that they're in those positions to be promoted. So congratulations on that. That has been a huge contribution that LA has made. I've been to your scholarship dinner, which is very, very meaningful to the sons and daughters of Latino employees to help contribute towards the tuition for their kids. And I see the joy that the kids get when they get a scholarship from LAPD, because you are part of LAPD. You just have an affinity group that's focused on supporting your fellow employees or your peers. So congratulations. There's so much more ahead of you that you can do. And I know we're working on lots of different things. But I think the biggest contribution alongside some of these initiatives, to help prepare Latino employees, the other contribution is to also instill in, all of our officers the need to engage with community, that it's okay to, to smile and to talk to community members, especially Spanish-speaking citizens who sometimes are afraid to talk with police. The work that y'all are doing, the department is doing with supporting street vendors, not just in safety, on the public safety end, but also preparing them and ensuring that they have the tools that they need to maintain their own safety when we're not there. So just want to congratulate you. I see so much ahead for you all, for LALE, and just keep up the good work. And congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And Commissioner Southers, if I could just close off by my thanks and appreciation for this presentation today. LALE has been an absolute critical member over my entire existence with this organization as an employee-affiliated group that develops, mentors, and really paves a path forward for opportunities. And its inclusiveness has been unmatched by any other employee organization. In the last 5+ years, your willingness to step in and not just and continuing your employee development through seminars and through exam preparation and so forth, but mentoring and finding mentors both within the organization that are young employees. You've offered to mentor and are mentoring applicants and mid-career professionals as well. Captain Robles, and yesterday or tomorrow I get to provide that new badge to you. You are only the latest example of the success that we see in our Latino Hispanic community and the representation in this organization. I'm proud of you. Thank you for the brief presentation today, and march on.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, we'll now take the next department's report. Commander Spell. Thank you, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, my apologies. I always think I have a loud enough voice that it'll carry, but, all right, thank you. All right, thank you. So we began conversations with the Bureau of Street Lighting and, more importantly, establishing a liaison to where we could have ongoing dialogues, to where we better understand what was going on with the thefts. And what we identified in those conversations was that prior to 2022, the tracking or identification of those thefts was not really a phenomenon that the Bureau of Street Lighting was doing. In 2022, they took note that there were more thefts that were occurring, and what they expressed to us was that they had only reported approximately 70 of those, but they believed or estimated that it was closer to about 6,000 of these thefts that would occur throughout various places in the city. And so they had also expressed that there were some challenges and their ability to go ahead and report those thefts. And I think sometimes there's a sense that, you know, with there being low dollar amounts, it took amount of time going into the police lobbies to make those reports that, you know, and they didn't know of any alternative means to report them. It became evident that there needed to be something done to expand their ability to have greater access to us. And so our people within the department were able to work with our vendor and create an expansion of the community online reporting system to where now members of the Bureau of Street Lighting have access. They can sign in with a ID, a password that's unique to them, so that way they have access, and then they can plug in those numbers and we can get a more accurate assessment. In addition to that, though, they'd also expressed that there were concerns with vandalisms. Currently, as the system is designed, it's only able to document or the thefts. However, we have a request out to LexisNexis to go ahead and add vandalisms as another means of reporting. So that's currently pending. They've been working through the logistics of you know, putting the processes together, and we believe that by October, they've given us an estimate, by October, we should be able to launch live to where they'll be able to make those reports. Additionally, there were some discussions and concerns surrounding encampments involving people who are unhoused, and concerns that they were, you know, possibly vandalizing some of the facilities and things of that nature. And so we also had some conversations and dialogue about how they can harden the target. In essence, how they can make themselves less vulnerable to these thefts. And what that involved was really three parts. One of those was site surveys. We have officers within our department who are certified through the Department of Homeland Security to conduct site surveys. This is a service we have provided to other department facilities or other city facilities, but it's something that we've offered to them. As of yet, they haven't necessarily taken advantage of that, but we're still working through the beginnings of this. The other two things were discussing the hiring of private contract security for their facilities, and also taking advantage of digital surveillance, any kind of closed circuit TVs or means that they have to go ahead and look at when somebody's entering the yard, or if there's, when these thefts are occurring. So in summary, we've basically talked to them about how they can have greater access, created the means for that, and then also talked to them about hardening targets, and then opened an ability for them to have somebody, a point of contact at the LAPD to get back and forth to and talk to about their needs.
Thank you, Commander. I'm going to go ahead and yield, and I'll make my comment question. I'll save it for later. Commissioner Calandre?
Oh, wait, I'm trying to formulate my question.
Commissioner Briggs?
I have no questions at this time.
So the question I have, or comment, I understand that you're going to, what's been proposed is that you're going to conduct security vulnerability assessments using CPTED. When do you anticipate that happening, and where will those reports actually go?
So in terms of when that would happen, it's subject to them asking for it. It's been offered, but there hasn't been any indication as to whether or not they're going to accept that. And in terms of where those reports would go, I would have to defer to, I know Officer Diaz-Valle is one of those certified experts, and I believe would know the process a bit better.
Commander, I think your officer is willing to step up to the podium and, yeah, absolutely, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
If you go ahead and introduce yourself for the court reporter.
Yes, sir.
For the reporter, I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name's Officer Diaz-Valle, and I work for the Office of Operations, and I am currently the course coordinator on behalf of the Office of Operations. To answer your question, sir, when a CPTED report is completed, we give a presentation to the client department, and we advise them of all the recommendations and options for consideration moving forward to harden their target, to harden their sites.
No, I'm familiar with it. Great tool. I just wanted to make sure it was going to happen and make sure that the client was actually going to be the beneficiary of that information.
Yes, absolutely. They are the recipients of the report, and that report is only given to their general managers or their infrastructure protection specialists that they already have, and they've already identified as one of our point of contacts.
The other part of this question you may not be able to answer, conditions change. So one of the challenges with the CPTED analysis is that you give it to them, they may or may not implement it, they put it on the shelf, and then over the next 3 to 5 years, conditions change. Do you let them know that you can come back and do another assessment to get them up to date with regards to what may have happened in the meantime?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, great.
We do give them updates, and we offer our services so that we can conduct follow-up assessments.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Just a quick question. So just so that I understand clearly, so the request to add this to our reporting system came from Bureau Street Lighting because they were having the copper theft? Is that how all this came about? I mean, through city council motion, obviously.
That's correct.
And then the reporting is only done by Bureau Street Lighting. That they're the only ones that can go in and report theft and then eventually the vandalism.
From those, for their property specifically, yes, they would be the only ones that would be reporting that.
But Commissioner, vandalism can be reported online by community members throughout Los Angeles.
On the 3-1.
This was a special channel so that we can ensure that, first of all, there's a dollar amount, as the report indicates, that significant thefts can be better tracked. And historically, those type of high values would not be allowed to do an online report because we would dispatch officers out to the location to conduct an investigation. But that was hampering Bureau Street Services' ability to report given the size of their operation and the availability of their staff.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Anything additional?
Yes. Chief, as a follow-up, what's the annual dollar amount of copper being stolen from these facilities annually, if you know?
We don't have a dollar amount, and I think part of the challenge is that I don't know that they know the full breadth of the problem and how much theft is actually occurring. So they have not been able to provide a dollar amount.
Let me add, though, that citywide, city departments, this is not isolated to Bureau of Street Lighting. This is also a significant issue with Department of Water and Power. So utilities, public works, these operations in the city garner, as you might expect, large supplies of materials in order to conduct repair, maintenance, and the evolution of our infrastructure. This is just one avenue to try to better articulate and identify where those are occurring, so we can harden the target. This is both awareness as well as what can we do to tag and establish barriers that keep these thefts from occurring in the first place. We do conduct investigations, as does the Department of Water and Power and other city agencies, to identify those responsible for this material theft as well.
So we know that these thefts occur. We know that there's obviously somebody to whom they're taking this copper, because these thieves aren't keeping the copper themselves. So they're probably taking it to a junkyard or some source locally. Do we know that, and what are we doing about that? That aspect being the person to whom they take the copper.
Well, one of the things that has been hampered, the department's been hampered by, is by our staffing levels. What previously were a specialized unit in the Los Angeles Police Department for scrap metal yards and for these recyclers, that function is now been delegated out to the geographic areas because of a lack of staffing. The downside of this organization, it's been one of the casualties. And so what we do is investigate individual claims, but the inspections that previously occurred to check for this illicit material, evidence that these recyclers were in fact gathering this and paying for it to the thieves that were involved, that has been compromised by one of the many, if you will, functions of the organization that has had to be downsized. We do rely upon responsible owners, responsible recyclers to identify those that they believe are not acting responsibly. And we're also aware that the trafficking of this leaves the city and goes both into the region, and we believe also internationally, meaning south down into Mexico, for people who are taking this material and again providing thieves an opportunity to profit from it. So this is a sizable issue, significant issue that has been persistent, and this is the latest edition of our efforts to counter it. It's by no means going to stop it.
And since copper is considered a precious metal that's used in computers, chips, etc., I mean, even EVs that we now have, do we have any joint task force with either the state or the federal government behind this? I mean, particularly given the federal emphasis now on protecting our own precious metals in the country. Has the Justice Department stepped in?
No, we know that the utilities and these public entities that are responsible for the infrastructure of our cities and our region, working also with the private contractors that are responsible, that there is a network of information that share amongst themselves as to the techniques, the manners in which these are occurring, individuals that may or may not be responsible. And when those individuals are identified with us, we will, given sufficient information, conduct investigations. So it's not that we will not take jurisdiction or pursue it, but instead it is a matter of our ability to be prevalent across these salvage yards, and the presence of an individual task force for this effort is not something that currently we have the staffing in which to accomplish. So I want to be realistic with this, and just like cargo theft, organized retail theft, smash and grabs, there's this array of these public safety issues, including the impact it has on the cost and expense of conducting these builds and infrastructure investments are sizable, and the department has limited capability. What we do want to do, and this I think I'm really proud of, it's not just the reporting of it, but it's establishing a network in which we can help understand better means of accounting and tracking and establishing markers, for instance, on the material itself, so people understand this is the property of the Los Angeles City Department of Water and Power. This is tagged, if you will, and serialized, so that unscrupulous buyers cannot say, well, we have no idea where this is coming from. Anything you would add to that?
No, sir, you've covered it far better than I would have.
Can I just add, so then this tracking system or reporting system will also allow us to understand high priority areas where this is happening, which then a division can be aware and possibly add to like a, priority area to patrol. And so that's kind of the way that we're using the data collected as part of public safety.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to move that we approve the department's report and transmit to City Council. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We will now recess into closed session. Thank you.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed sessions to discuss items 5A and B in accordance with Government Code 54957.
The commission has completed closed session and will now have the report out by the executive director.
As relates to item 5A1, officer involved shooting, number 053-22, the chief's recommendations were adopted on a 4-0 vote. Those recommendations were tactics, tactical debrief, 1 Sergeant 1, 4 police officer 2s. Drawing and exhibiting and policy, 4 police officer 2s. Lethal use of force and policy, 4 police officer 2s. As relates to item B, 1, Chief of Police Complaint 22003041 continued till October 2nd, 23. Item number B2, Chief of Police Complaint 22002968 adjudicated. Item B3, Chief of Police Complaint 22003296 adjudicated. That concludes the report out.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. With that, we will conclude our business. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.